Hey, everybody. We're here. It's March 12th at 8 p.m. And welcome to the premiere episode of Nez Sez. Hey, Ty. How you doing?
Hey, Dave. I'm happy to be here with you.
Oh, you have no idea how happy this makes me. Everyone, this is my friend Ty Price. We are the hosts of this show. And tonight we're going to bring you the 10 best electric guitars of 2020 as per Guitar World magazine. The top guitars for every playing style, level, and budget. And we're also going to review this guitar.
And that's a beauty.
Thank you very much. Let's see who's with us. So far we have Thomas Santiago, Mr. BHB, that is Bruce, Matthew Stewart, Desiree Dornan, Ben Coombs, Brendan B. Squared. The chat is here. Let's see. Fruitcake Tony is here. Oh, it just keeps going like that. How about that? Let's get to the end. All right. Who else is here? 7 over 8 is here. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Jay.
Headstock Harem is here. Keith Michael is here. David Ennis. Thank you, David. Thanks for stopping by. Everyone, Dry Heat 480 is here. Cameron Brown is here.
Cameron
Hey,
Brown. Cameron, I'm a big fan of your playing. Congratulations on that Friedman endorsement.
UPS Mark is here. Hey, what's going on? Well, anyway, why don't we just start? We can say hello to more people as they show up. So, Ty actually went to a couple of his local music stores and actually played most of these guitars that are in his top 10. And I played a few of them as well. I actually played the ones that he hasn't played, but I've also played some of the ones he's played in. I've played them in the recent past, and I think this list is actually a really good list.
I do too. And so Dave and I talk about gear all the time. We talk routinely about gear and the purpose of gear and what we're pursuing and what we're buying and what we're selling and why we're buying it and why we're selling it. And, when we were discussing this format for tonight, we really just thought it would be a bird's eye view of conversations that he and I have regularly about, a broad range of subjects. And then 2 days ago, a writer, Chris Corfield, wrote an article for Guitar World magazine, called the best electric guitars in 2020, which, for gearheads initially just creates all of this conversation. Because the article takes a really different approach about gear in general, what's useful and why, and it really begins at a price range of $179 and extends itself to a price range of $10,000. So Dave and I were having this conversation and about what we felt about the article and where the wins were and where the losses were in the article, and we just said, well, this would be good. This would be a good conversation to have with a wider community, and so here we are.
Yeah, I agree. Ty and I, we probably talk for a couple hours a day. And like he said, we talk about gear like I'd say about 95% of it. It's all about gear, really. And you know what? And he and I just want to preface this by saying, like you and I are like you had said once before, we're like kindred spirits. We kind of live a very parallel life with the gear that we have, with the gear that we like. The types of music, the types of sounds that we like. We have a great time talking about this stuff. So I hope that it translates to all of you guys and girls that watch us.
Well, and I just tend to have somewhat of a very simplified version or view of gear. I don't really. I'm very thankful to be able to play great gear. But I'm a live guitar player, and I really kind of dumb gear down to what it can do for me in a live context.
Yeah.
I'm not real sophisticated when it comes to the technical aspect of gear, which is how Dave and I really began to form a friendship, because it got to the point where I needed to send gear to Dave for him to really set it up and get it working for me, for a live context, because as all of you are aware in the chat, that's what he does, next level. And but the thing that I think separates Dave from other technicians that I've worked with in the past is that because he is such a player and because he comes from a live performing background, I can talk to him about what I need, and then he can articulate that when he sends me the guitar back, and then it's set up perfectly for what I need. And to be quite honest, I've sent him very nice pieces that should never need to be reset up, and then it always comes back to me better than when I sent it off. So that's really how our relationship began, and
Right.
and has matured into these daily chats about about content like we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah. Well, real quick, what I think sets me aside from other repair guys, tech kind of guys, is that I actually listen to the artist. And when someone hands me a guitar, I consider them an artist. I don't consider them anything else, but it's their guitar, it's their instrument, they're the artist. That's what they want. And I listen to what they want, because most technicians will put a ruler to a guitar and set it to factory spec and blah blah blah. And most people don't want it factory spec. Most people want it the way they want it, and you have to listen to what the person who owns the instrument wants for him to be able to perform, him or her to be able to perform on their instrument the way the way they need to. So, luckily, Ty and I have a very similar way we like our instruments set up. But I mean, if Ty was to say, "Listen, I want very high action. I want it an inch off the fretboard," he's going to get it an inch off the fretboard.
Well, yeah, because if I tell you I need this SG set up for slide, you know exactly what that is. Or if I ask you, or if I tell you how I'm using this, this particular Strat. Or this particular Les Paul, if I'm going to put this Telly in open G tuning, you understand how I'm going to use that guitar because you're a player yourself, and that makes things easy on me, because I just need them to work for me. I wish I were a little more sophisticated and rooted in the knowledge that you have into how all of these moving parts work together to create this synergy. I wish I had that. I just play them.
And you know what? There's something to be said for that, and thank you for just playing them, because it allows me to do what I do and to make a living as well. But that being said, I think everyone should be able to sight a neck and tweak a neck here and there when they need to. But, there are lots of things that I can't do that I send my guitars to a tech for. Like a full fret job, I can't do that. I'm afraid to do a full fret job. I've never done one. Eventually, I'll take a cheap guitar and take the frets out once I get the right tools. I just don't have the right tools to do all that. So I haven't done that. But, level and polish, I can do that. Fret sprouting, I can do that. I do all that stuff. And when you get your guitar back, you look down the neck and you'll see all these little Indians in a row. They look perfect. Everything always looks perfect. So anyway, we're getting off the subject. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this list. And the first guitar on the list is a Squire Bullet Mustang for I don't know. It's about $250, maybe a little bit less money.
Yeah, I had one at a local guitar center, and they were selling it for $179. It's a dual hum guitar. It's a Mustang, so it flies in direct conflict of the duopoly between Fender and Gibson. It looks a little different. It looks pretty cool. It's a short scale guitar, 24-inch scale, very, very easy to play. And I was, listen, I'm an older guy. They didn't make $179 guitars this well when I was a younger guy. And listen, any opinion that I'm going to offer about these guitars, I'm just going to preface by saying completely subjective. By no means am I an authority on anything. I just know the way I like it. And I just know what I believe it can do for me. Mm-hmm. And when I'm evaluating a guitar, whether it's in a guitar store or through an individual sale or whatever, there's just a few things that I really consider, Dave. You probably have your small checklist as well. Guys like us tend to do our homework. We know what we're getting into when we're going into it. I just want something that's got some quality to it. I want something that's playable, but most importantly, I want something that's going to inspire me. I want something that's going to move me to play the instrument. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that enjoy the chase. I want to go ahead and acquire it and get it and see what I can do with it. So I'll just preface that any opinion I offer tonight is simply a subjective opinion, and by no means does it outweigh anyone else's opinion. But I played this guitar, and I told Dave on the phone after I played it, I was pretty impressed that this was a sub $200 guitar. Ben made a comment a minute ago in the chat that every guitar needs a little tweak. If I were to buy this at $179, I would change the tuning keys on it, but that'd really be the only thing I'd change. And if I were going to play an hour set with it or a 90-minute set with it, I'm pretty confident that with changing those tuning keys, I can get through that set. What I was most impressed with is it was so easy to play, and it sounded great. It really did. It really did sound great. My daughter's 13. She's got this big interest in the acoustic guitar and a ukulele, and she has shown some real interest in moving toward an electric guitar. And in the past, I've taken a very lightweight Strat type 25.5-inch scale, dropped the low E to a D, and said, "Here, honey, have fun." But this would be the type of instrument that you could put in a young person's hands, and it would inspire them to grow. And it looked cool, kind of a slight offset design, comfortable neck, looks super cool. And I know a lot of you guys that are playing high-end instruments are going to say, I wouldn't look twice at a $180 guitar. But you're probably not the target. I do believe that this guitar has the ability to inspire and to encourage a younger player or a less experienced player to play. And really, at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself as a player, why is it that I play guitar? Whatever that core reason is for you playing, does the instrument you have inspire that next step forward? And that really becomes the most critical criteria in measuring any new acquisition, right? Is it going to advance me forward?
Well, that's all it's about is what inspiration, what is your inspiration? What inspires you? Exactly what you said. What makes you want to play?
Yeah, what makes you want to play? What makes you want to do whatever it is you do? For me, I want to be on a stage. I want to be playing, whether that's in direct support of an artist or whether that's with a group of friends in a top 40 band or whatever it is. It's about a live performance for me. That's what energizes me.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own source of motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just a firm believer that the instrument should support whatever that motivation is.
Yes, agreed. Hi, Randy. How you doing? Jay says, Dave, Ellie is watching and just said, Uncle Dave has the Eddie guitar. Yeah, here it is. Hi, Ellie. Aww. Ellie, I'm gonna will this to you when I pass away. This is gonna be yours. It's not gonna be tomorrow though. Sorry.
I don't know. Jay might have just hired the hitman.
No, I'm gonna get caught by the coronavirus. That's gonna get me. Anyway, a little laughing doesn't hurt. All right, so we talked about that. You know what? Give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second here. All right, there you go. Let's talk about the next guitar. And I lost it here. 1 second. Thank God this is not a podcast. So I would have lost. Right? All right. So the next guitar is an Epiphone Les Paul Standard. Now this launch price is $499. It's about $500.
Yep.
And I've played many of these guitars.
Yep.
And even though people may think my nose is up in the air and I'm a little snooty and I don't like cheap guitars, this is a good guitar. For the price, it is a very good guitar. It does feel very similar to a good Gibson Les Paul. In a studio, you're not going to know the difference whether you're listening to an Epiphone Les Paul with humbuckers or a good Gibson Les Paul. It feels pretty good.
Yep.
Again, it's just an all around good guitar, and
it's a great marriage between price and performance. It won't break the bank. To your point, it just doesn't break the bank. I mean, one could argue that you're limited with a dual humbucker guitar, but I mean, for certain, that's another criteria that really has to come into play when you're choosing an instrument is what's the context, right? I mean, what's the platform in which you're gonna use it? I played both the Epiphone Les Paul Standard and I played the Epiphone Les Paul Custom, which had a beautiful silver burst. I'm a child of the 70s. The silver burst guitar from the late 70s, for whatever reason, really resonates with me. So I played that custom version of it, which was a little more expensive. I mean, it went more toward the $799 mark. Sounded really good, really easy to play guitar, and it was really a gig-worthy guitar. And look, let's just be honest. Most of the guys that are going out and getting paid to play their guitar this weekend, they're going to a small stage, within a 10-mile radius of where they live, and they're going to play for an audience that is expecting to be entertained for 2, 3, 4 hours, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. These
guitars, these Epi Les Paul Standards, they get that job done, especially in a radio friendly rock, context. They get it done. As long as you got a healthy back, as long as you can stand up and play the guitars.
I think they're a little bit lighter than a Gibson Les Paul. I think they tend to be a little bit lighter, maybe because the woods that they're using. Yes, they're using mahogany and maple, but such a very thin layer of maple, and maybe just not it's not Honduran mahogany. It's probably a cheaper mahogany, maybe a little less weighty. Some of them are very heavy, but most of them are a little bit lighter, I would say. But still, yeah, you're right. After 4 hours, you don't want to be holding that thing on your shoulders for 4 hours.
You're right. And look, the Les Paul. The Les Paul is a cool looking guitar, right? I mean, it's just it's iconic. There's not a ton of innovation in that guitar that didn't exist in the 50s in terms of form, fit, design, and certainly appearance and vibe. But when you strap on that Les Paul and you hang it around the waist, there's something that emotes, from a player. And both of these Epis at a ridiculously affordable price. They get a job done for a gigging musician. A gigging guy can throw that in a gig bag, put it in the trunk of the car, go to the gig, and be confident it gets you through. Now, look, I tend to be a bit heavy-handed with gear, and I play the instrument solidly, and it stayed in tune. And for me, that's a critical criteria. Thus, my reference back to that Fender Mustang or Squier Mustang at the beginning. Stayed in tune. I mean, what more can you ask for $500?
Let me just get back here. Rockin' Dave Byron says, "Hey Dave, Nez, and all. Hope all is well. I own both Gibson LPs and Epiphone LPs. They're both great. Epiphone is better for outdoor gigs down here in Fort Myers, Florida." And then he says, "Yes, Dave." Where the hell is it? There it is. Come on. Yes, Dave. Epiphone's lighter than a Gibson if Gibson is not heavily chambered. Correct. I also just want to say hello to a few more people. Big Fly Music. Fender Guru. Michael Smith is here. Thank you, Michael. Who else came in afterwards? Steve Carmichael. Very nice. Nice to see you. If I haven't said your name, forgive me and say hi again, and I'll say hello again. But yeah. That's pretty much it on that Epiphone. It's just really a good all around mid-level mid money guitar. And it's for the money, it's a great guitar.
Great guitar.
Yeah. So the next one is it kind of boggled my mind a little bit because I haven't played it, but Ty has it, and number 3 on the list is the Squier Classic Vibe 60 Strat. Hey Larry Mitchell, how are you? So the Squier 60s, its launch price is $600, and I had to scratch my head at that one a little bit because I personally think for a Squier guitar that may be a little on the high side to pay for one. Me personally, I'd rather have a Mexican-made reissue, like a 60s reissue. Maybe it's $100 more or something like that. But Ty did play this guitar, and he's got and I trust what he says because, I mean, let's face it, he's a national guitar player. He gigs around the country. He gets hired for a lot of very cool gigs, and he knows what he's talking about with these guitars. So take it away and tell
little gigs.
Well, and oh, by the way, hey Dad, my father is here. Thanks for joining us.
Good.
And all right, take us away. Tell us about the Squier guitar.
All right, so I played it. Hey Dave, my initial impression about that too is I agree. I'd rather have like a Mexican-made Strat at a very similar price point, but don't let that Squier tag fool you. I mean, if you go into an A/B test between the two things and you're wearing a blindfold, I mean, the very first thing you notice about the Squier is they've got these Alnico 5 pickups that sound absolutely amazing. And I'm gonna go ahead and confess right away that although I am rooted in a humbucker oriented rock environment, it's who I am at my core. Nothing sounds better to me than a Stratocaster. That the articulation around single coils can almost be piano-like. They're highly musical to me. It moves me in a way as a listener and as a player. And look, single coils tend to keep you very, very honest as well, right? Mm-hmm. And I believe that there's an honesty behind what's produced by the player of single coils. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm a little prejudicial right out the gate. But I was really impressed with this guitar only because, I mean, it's $600. It gets you through, man, if I'm going to, and there's a lot of guys in the chat that do this, that do this kind of thing. Rarely is there such a thing as a Swiss Army knife, a one-fits-all guitar that you can take to a gig and say, this is it, right? So you're most of the time you're in tow with two. And most of the time you're doing some sort of single coil option and some sort of humbucker option, unless you're playing in something very genre specific, or you're playing in a tribute that requires one thing, right? The thing I loved about this guitar is how cheap it was, or inexpensive it was, because it was built. There's a lot of quality in the build, especially for $600. And I really felt like it punched the lower end fenders. I really kind of felt like it punched them in the mouth. It just felt better, and it had more vibe, even down to the finish. I thought the finish was actually a bit nicer. And you could buy this guitar right off the wall. And put it in a gig bag and go play, and go play a set. So, I mean, if you're playing an R&B, a funk gig, if you're playing a country gig, if you're playing a rock gig and you're using a pedal format to drive that amp, this guitar is great. It's single coil, so it's not getting super heavy, right? But very articulate, a lot of character, and honestly, it was very motivational to play. The version that I played was a white version with a white scratch guard and, just Hendrix. Yeah. I mean, it just felt good.
So you could play your best Leonard Skinner gig with that too.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could. You're not getting into the Rosington, You
don't have to, though. All you got to do is get into the Ed King.
There you go. Ed King's a great guitar player. Was a great guitar player.
So Larry Mitchell said, how much would you pay for a Billy Squier Burst? And Larry, if I had the dough, I'd pay $500,000 for one because of the name and because it's a Burst. I don't know that his guitars are worth $1 million, but I'd pay $500,000 if I had the dough.
Yeah. And it is an honor to see Larry Mitchell here. I've been a huge fan of his for a long time. Yeah. What a great guitar player.
Me too. I'm still a fan of his.
Larry Mitchell, you are such an inspirational player.
One of my best friends, and I still look up to him. Rockin' Dave Byron says, I agree, Mr. Price. Single coils have a little cleaner sound, makes you put a little more effort. The Tellys also have a very unique sound, especially in the middle pickup position.
Oh, I love the 2 and 4 position in a Strat. I mean, look, you're going to get down with some James Brown. You're playing the 2 and 4.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. All right, so the next guitar we come to, and I'm not going to just say the baritone guitar, but the PRS, the Paul Reed Smith SE guitars. Now, I've played a lot of them, and again, not quite the price point I'm at with guitars, but I close my eyes and I play that guitar, and it's a damn good guitar. It's one of those guitars that you can't believe that it's an import, because it's just the quality control of it, the sound of it, the fretwork on the guitar is really, it's like Paul Reed Smith fretwork. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Just what a great guitar. This one comes in at about $750 around there. The one that they're talking about is the baritone guitar. I've never played the baritone, but I can tell you for a fact that the PRS SE guitar is a really well-made imported guitar.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play this SE277 baritone that they listed at number 4 because I didn't have a local store that had one. We do have a very nice locally owned store that is a PRS dealer. And just full disclosure, I spent about a decade playing PRS guitar, so just that's how I'm a big fan of what PRS does. The build quality is absolutely. Look at that.
There we go.
Absolutely. I think Paul is. I think he is. I think he's a genius, and I think that he hears things that most humans don't hear. And I think that he is really in touch with how to put a guitar together. So that said, I've played a number of the last couple of days the PRS SE series, and they're just better than I remember them. And I've not picked up an SE in a number of years, but absolutely fantastic. Today I played an SE Tremonti model that was fantastic. I played a single cut semi hollow dual hum that was absolutely fantastic. A far better guitar than its price point. And I know that SE stands for student edition, but these are really pro level instruments.
Okay, so for a student issue guitar, you're getting a mahogany body with a maple cap. You're getting the neck is maple. The fretboard, you're getting a rosewood fretboard, 22 medium jumbo frets, and 2 85-15 humbuckers. That's a lot of guitar. And Sweetwater sells this guitar for $683.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
It's for that price, you're getting a big guitar. Now I got to say hello to one more person. Hey, Mom. My mom is here watching. So
oh, good.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, definitely, Dave. Definitely a pro level guitar.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so the next guitar you have to have. Since we talked about a Telecaster, we talk about now the Fender Ventera 60s Telecaster modified. Now, what that means, first of all, it's a $1,000 guitar. What that means is you're getting an alder body with a maple neck. The fretboard is going to be Palfero, 21 frets, medium jumbo frets. The pickups are they're double hot 60s Tele single coils. So they're 2 times hot. 2 times hotter than normal, which is pretty incredible. You're getting that's another guitar that you're getting a lot of guitar for its price. Yes, it's $1,000, and we're getting up there in price, but this is more of a mid to pro level guitar for someone that's doing a lot more gigging maybe. And you know what? You don't have to be a good guitar player to have a good guitar. I've said that from the very beginning. You don't have to be good to have a good guitar. Take me, for instance. I'm not that good, and look at all these guitars I have. They're all fantastic. So, and I'm being serious. Yeah, I can play, and yeah, I do gig for a living, but there are kids playing for 2 years that sweep me under the rug. And you know, that it is what it is. But like I said, you don't have to be a good guitar player to have a nice guitar. And this is a nice guitar.
It's a very nice guitar. I played the Seafoam green one, which it's got tons and tons of vibe. It feels good. I hear what you say about those 2-time hot single coils, and I know what Fender's going for there, because in the volume knob it had an S1 switch that really inverted the phase, which gives the player a lot of options. I was into that. I thought that was really cool, but I want a Tele to do a Tele. And so when I picked that up, I have a preconceived, and this is where a guy like me is somewhat prejudicial going into the process. I picked that guitar up, and it looked super cool. It played great, but the way in which look, a telly can be somewhat limiting. I say that, and then I immediately conjure up images of Richie Kotzen doing ungodly things on a Telecaster.
It's incredible.
It's or Andy Wood doing ungodly things on a telly. But
does his telly have 2 humbuckers though?
I think that there may. I don't know.
And his is a John Suhr guitar. I've never seen one of his up close. I've seen him on YouTube playing his, and what a beautiful, beautiful guitar that is, by the way.
Great guitar and a great player that makes that guitar
he's
sound
an amazing
amazing.
player. He's the guy you want to mold your guitar playing from.
It's fantastic. And I'm from the South. I live in the South. I'm from the Southeast. When we pick up Telecasters, we're chicken picking all over the place. I mean, we just can't seem to help ourselves down here. Yeah. So we kind of pick that thing up. So the only I do like this guitar a lot. I think it is a good value for $1,000. The only thing I had is that the pickups for me, my style, and again, I tend to be a little heavy-handed, didn't clean up quite as well for that telly twang.
Yeah.
I would want those to maybe be a little more traditional.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I want to give a shout out to 2 special guys that I want to thank. I want to say hello to John Mancuda and Jay Hannon, 2 of my partners on the Johnny Bean Show, and I also want to say thank you for joining us tonight in the chat, and I want to give a big shout out to Johnny Bean for giving me the inspiration to do this show, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing this, and I appreciate everything that he has done and he keeps doing for me. And just to let everyone know, I did not leave that show. I'm not leaving that show. I'll still be on Friday nights and maybe Tuesday nights. It depends on if I get my butt kicked at home for being on the computer too much. We'll see what happens. But I have not left that show. Johnny has not gotten rid of me. And I'll see you all tomorrow night as well. So that being said, we're going to keep going on with this list, which my phone keeps turning off. So hang on one second.
I love what the Chad said in the chat. He said a good guitar makes things easier. You're still going to sound like you, but it makes things easier and usually sounds better. You'll enjoy playing more. And isn't that the reason to buy any guitar? I mean, that is very well said. That's the reason to buy any piece of gear, to help express whatever it is we as players want to express.
Yeah, I agree. So that being said, we come into the American guitars. The Fender American Performer Strat Hum Single. Mm-hmm. Now this guitar is $1,099. All right, $1,100. For that, you get an alder body, maple neck, or maple fretboard or rosewood fretboard. 22 jumbo frets. 2 Yosemite single coils. I don't know what Yosemite. Maybe Josefina. Maybe I don't know. No, I guess it's Yosemite single coils with double tap humbucker, with coil split and coil tap. Now that guitar is $829 at Autorama Guitars, and $1,034 at Sweetwater. So I guess between about $830 and $1,050 for this guitar on the street. It looks like a beautiful, beautiful Sunburst guitar. It's got a large headstock, the CBS headstock, which I particularly like better. I think the more wood on the body, the bigger the tone, the more resonance you're going to get. I personally think that's the way it goes. Again, good looking guitar. I'm sure it plays good. Did you play it?
I did.
And tell me what you thought about
I loved it. I thought the humbucker sounded great, and with the hum single, very, very versatile guitar. It's a guitar that plays well and plays long. So you're playing a set. It's a guitar that stays in your hands for a large part of the set, right? I thought it was pretty impressive. I am also a huge fan of the big headstock.
Yeah.
I did not see this guitar, at least in my local stores, offered with the more standardized headstock. They all had the bigger headstock, so that's probably some sort of design characteristic for this. But at $1,100, this is a working man's instrument, and the humbucker sounded great.
Yeah. Yes, I have to agree. Although I didn't play this particular guitar, I would imagine it's very much similar to an American Standard Stratocaster in feel. So, and I've played millions of those, literally millions. Working at Guitar Center, I can't tell you how many of those I've sold and how many of those I've played and set up. And they're great guitars. And by the way, I did not pass grammar school, so it's not Yosemite, it's Yosemite single coils. Thank you, Johnny. As in Yosemite Sam, one of those guys. So the next guitar, I don't think Ty has played, but I've played, and I almost bought this guitar, and I might still buy one in the long run. But I had something else came up, so I didn't buy it. It's the Ibanez Genesis Collection RG550.
Yep.
Now, again, I've played a lot of RG550s starting in 1987 when they were birthed until this past year. The oldest ones, I mean, the ones from 1987 are just they're like playing gem guitars. They're amazing guitars. This Genesis Collection guitar is, again, another amazing guitar. They come in, a few different colors. They come in road flare red, desert sun yellow. I think they come in black. I think they come in white. I think they may come in some sort of blue, like a laser blue or something. It's that the price of that guitar is $1,000. You're getting a basswood body with a maple walnut neck. Maple fingerboard, 24 jumbo frets, 2 humbuckers and 1 single coil, and an edge locking tremolo. It is probably the best shred master guitar for $1,000 you can possibly get. That being said, it's also, it's an all-around great. You could play any gig with it. The clean sounds are amazing. The 2 and 4 position on the 5-way blades. This is going to sound like a Stratocaster. The humbuckers, it's a great all-around guitar player. There's something to be said for that guitar. Steve Vai actually was the inspiration for that guitar. The Gem guitar came out first, and from the Gem guitar, these RG guitars came out. I believe it is the second guitar that Ibanez gave Larry Mitchell. I think his guitar was a white one with a black pickguard and some white humbuckers in it. And I think he still owns that guitar, if I'm not mistaken. I remember that guitar, and I thought it was one of the cool, other than this one here, right here, that guitar, which was also Larry's. I thought that was one of the coolest guitars I'd ever seen at the time when I first met Larry. It was just, a white guitar with a black guard and white pickups. I think it's like an inside-out tuxedo. It's beautiful looking. The guitar played amazingly. All RGs, as far as I'm concerned, they play amazingly. They're usually a good lightweight. This guitar is kind of up my alley, and I have a lot to say about it because I'm a fan of Ibanez guitars. And yes, do I love Fender? I love everything. You can see from my house, I have a little bit of everything here. Mm-hmm. But I'm enamored with the Ibanez stuff because it's the guitar of my childhood. Ibanez and Kramer guitars, my 2 childhood favorite guitars. It's what I grew up playing, and there'll always be a spot in my heart for those guitars. So, and for them to keep making them, the quality they're making them, I'm so happy that Ibanez is still doing that guitar, and I think this is a guitar you should go out and buy right now. In fact, leave the show right now and go buy it. Get out of here.
I wish we had a local store that had one so that I could play one. I've not played an Ibanez guitar in so many years. And what's interesting about this list, the Guitar World published is that there's only 4 brands recommended in this list or reviewed in this list. Obviously, there's Gibson and Fender, and then you have this standout guitar with Ibanez at number 7, and it's only at number 7 because of the price point. They did put these in chronological order according to price. So I was disappointed that I wasn't able to play a modern version of this RG 550.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll play one and you'll be like, wow, it's here, just peel the money right now and just take it, because it's a good all around guitar. Now the next guitar, which I think, which we'll get to this statement in a few minutes, but I'm about to say the statement on this guitar is, if you can only buy one guitar in the world, this is the guitar to get, and it's the Gibson Les Paul Studio. Now, my first Les Paul that my mom bought me when I was, I want to say 17 years old. When I was 16 or 17, maybe I was 16. I was 16 and I saw The Song Remains the Same for the first time. And I saw Jimmy Page playing a Sunburst Les Paul. Now at 16, I didn't know from 1959 Les Paul or bursts or whatever. I just, man, that's a Gibson Les Paul. Oh my God, that's a Gibson Les Paul. I gotta own one. I gotta have one. And I remember going to this little store called Gil Bryant's Music in Deer Park, and I saw a Les Paul there, and it was a Sunburst Les Paul, and it was a standard or a classic, or I don't remember. It was $1,600 or something, and that was a bit much money. I didn't have the 1,600, and I brought my mom there one day, and I was like, Mom, I got to get this. Can you help me get this guitar? And she was like, well, $1,600. I don't think so. Let's do some shopping. So we did some shopping, and we went to, it's got to be Sam Ash, because Guitar Center wasn't there at the time. So I think at Sam Ash, we went to Sam Ash a week or two later, and I saw this wine red Gibson Les Paul Studio. And it was, at the time, it was $800, maybe $700. I don't remember. This was when I was 16. Could have even been a little less. And that was the guitar my mom bought me. And I had my first Gibson Les Paul. And that guitar took me a long way. I played that guitar for quite a few years. And it was great. The only thing that gave up on it at the time, I think, was the tuning pegs, because they weren't as good as they are now. I think they're using
Grovers.
They're using Grovers now, and I think they're also, if it's the Kluson style, I think they're using what's the name of the tuners? Maybe Waverly's or something. They're using something better. But for this guitar nowadays, like they say, it's the best workhorse guitar around. It's about $1,500. You're getting a mahogany body, a mahogany neck, fretboards rosewood, 22 medium jumbo frets, 2 dual Gibson 490 and 498 humbuckers with coil taps. Mm-hmm. Now, when I had a Les Paul Studio, it didn't have coil taps. Now that's just a great feature for this guitar. So basically, you're getting humbuckers and you're getting some sort of single coil sound out of the Gibson Les Paul, which until recently that was unheard of. So you're getting a Strat-like sound and a Gibson-like sound out of one guitar. Mm-hmm. And it's not a terribly expensive guitar.
Not at all.
They say here that it's a lot of guitar for the money, which I agree. Tonally versatile, built to last. Slim neck, the slim neck is not to everyone's tastes, but they vary as well. It's not the same neck on every guitar. So I happen to like a slimmer neck. I don't like on the Gibson R9 reissues or R8 reissues. Those necks are terribly huge, and they are a lot bigger than the original 58 and 59 and 60 bursts from the late 50s, of course. I personally think that there's such thing as a neck being too big, and there's a such thing as the neck being too small. I like something middle of the road. close to the 59, an original 59 neck or an original 60 slim taper neck, they're very comfortable. Both are very comfortable. And you did play this guitar, correct?
Played it a lot. I agree. Out of the top 10, I thought that this was the most. I thought this was the most useful guitar. And like you, I have an affinity. I have an affinity for Les Pauls. I have an affinity for single cut guitars, period. And I thought that this studio, a lot of bang for the buck. Stayed in tune. I thought the Grovers were a nice touch. I mean, what they basically did with this guitar, in my opinion, is they made this a working man's Les Paul. I am a fan of the 490 and the 498. I think they sound great. They're very balanced. I was not a big fan of of tapping those humbuckers down. That was not the thing for me. So if I had this, I'd probably throw a Strat in the car as well, and take this in a Strat to a gig, and then use the Strat for single coils, and then use this for everything else. But this guitar, pound for pound, amazing instrument. And I know that they kind of gave a caution to the reader in saying that this slim neck profile may not be for everybody. I found it to be super comfortable, very easy to play. I was very surprised at how well it was set up. It looked, to your point, they look cool. There's tons of vibe with this instrument. It is inspirational to take a Les Paul and play some rock music on a Les Paul. I did find that these pickups do clean up, though. While I did say something about the coil tap, I'm heavy on a volume knob too. So I use a volume knob in a very old school way and clean things up. And I felt that the neck and the bridge cleaned up well. I actually felt like the taper on these pots actually worked the way that they should. And I don't know what's behind the backplate, Dave. I don't know if there's a treble bleed. I don't know. I just know that I turned it down. They cleaned up. They sounded great. They didn't get muddy. It was by far my favorite guitar. If I were a gigging guy, getting out of my living room, going to a gig, this guitar, hands down, perfect, works. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I was impressed. I've not played a Les Paul Studio in a long time.
Cool. Yeah. The thing I like about this newer Les Paul Studio is when I had mine, it came with dot inlays, and that was kind of like, dot inlays. You want to see those trapezoid inlays like it's standard. Yeah. And the new ones come with the trapezoid inlays, and I think that's really cool. It makes it look like more of like a Gibson Les Paul standard. It's kind of a cool thing. Now, the next guitar, number 9, is a real cool guitar. I've played one of these in cherry, and I think it's a great guitar. It's the Gibson ES335 Satin. The launch price on this guitar is $2,600. It's a maple poplar body, so it's a sandwich basically. Mm-hmm. The neck is mahogany, fingerboard is rosewood, 22 medium jumbo frets, pickups are 2 Memphis historic spec humbuckers. So you're getting historic collection humbuckers, which is very cool. The same humbuckers you're going to get on a historic 59 or 63 335. Very cool guitar. You did play one of these, or you played something? You did?
I played something very, very similar to this.
Okay.
They didn't have the satin model. The model I had an improved or had a level up in terms of top and finish. I played a cherry one. Absolutely fantastic instrument. I'm a big fan of 335s for a lot of different types of music, which I took issue with the writer on how he positioned this guitar in the article, because he positions it as a jazz guitar and only a jazz guitar. And I think that all of us will agree this that definitely can serve as a jazz box for any player. But that, for me, that's the sound of rock and roll.
Absolutely.
I know Chuck Berry had a 355, but this Gibson semi-hollow is the sound of rock and roll. It's Cream. It's Eric Clapton. It's the Blues Breaker record. That's right. It is. I love the woman tone on the neck pickup out of this guitar. This guitar plays exceptionally well. It is 20. This one's listed at $2,600. The one I played was $3,000. Go ahead.
Here's the deal with the one you played. Yours was not a satin finish. Yours had a finish on it.
Yep.
Yours is it's Gibson USA, but it's one of their top of the line guitars. It's not a custom shop guitar, but it's Gibson USA's, up here. It's like one of those guitars. So that's why the difference in money. And like you said, it's a rock and roll beast. Guys like Joe Bonamassa uses a 335 for a few songs a night in his shows. Richie Sambora always has a couple 335s in his guitar boat when he's on tour. Lots of people. I know that Pete Thorne in his videos uses a 1963 ES335 to play rock riffs and rock solos, and everybody. Eddie Van Halen's favorite guitar is a 335. If you listen to any of his old interviews, his favorite guitar is a 335. He just said that he looks like a schmuck playing it up here like this, under his neck. He said it's not the most comfortable guitar to use, but it was one of his favorite sounding guitars, and he used to pull pickups out of those guitars all the time.
Yep.
So I mean, that is the quintessential name to use if you want to know if a 335 is a rock guitar. Eddie Van Halen thinks so. Yep, it's got to be.
They are absolutely fantastic. We can have an intellectual discussion about if you had $2,600, $3,000, you're a working musician, you're going to make a single investment into a guitar that's going to. You're going to go out and work with it. We can have a debate on whether that's the right guitar at that price point for that purpose. But there's no doubt that the fit, finish, the playability, the quality, the inspiration, it sits in that. There's a lot of good songs in that guitar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creativity that can be done. I saw a comment in the chat a minute ago.
I got it right up here. Rockin' Dave Byron.
Yeah, from Rockin' Dave and from Headstock Harem, they both reference these late 70s Ibanez Artist Series,
yes,
which were phenomenal guitars. I mean, my guitar teacher, who was one of the most inspirational people I've ever encountered, played those guitars and those late 70s Ibanez Artists. Those two are phenomenal guitars. And then Rockin' Dave had a question here.
Yeah, he says, Dave or Ty, have you guys ever played a Gibson ES 335 with rotary selector switch, which would either be a 345 or 355? 345 would be with nickel hardware, 355 would be with gold hardware. With the rotary switch to get that out of phase sound, great guitar. Yes, I've played a BB King Lucille, which is the same guitar.
Yep,
with no F holes. It's still it's not a solid guitar, but it's no F holes. And I've played an original 59 ES 345 in Sunburst. Yes, they're super cool guitars.
They're fantastic guitars. My only disappointment in playing the BB King guitar is that I didn't have the vibrato and the sustain and the note quality of BB. So.
Well, user error, shall we say?
Absolutely, it was user error. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So number 10 it's a very big guitar, big money guitar, and that's the Paul Reed Smith Private Stock Custom 24. Now, this guitar, the starting price on these guitars is about $10,000, and this is a guitar for those who have money to throw away, not throw away, but money that you don't have to worry about buying an expensive guitar. If you have that kind of money, where money is no object, this is a guitar for you.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to preface this guitar and personally any Nags Tier 1 guitar in the same boat. If you have if money is no object, but the Guitar World pick is this Private Stock Custom 24. You're not going to get a higher spec guitar from this.
No.
It's all going to be, they're all handmade guitars. You can get them anyway, pretty much any way you want them. You order them, you order what you want, and they'll do what you want.
Yeah.
They're all exotic woods. Now I've played several of these guitars. My buddy Dennis owns 4 of them, and I'm lucky to have stores near me that carry private stock Paul Reed Smiths very regularly, so I get to play these guitars. They're gorgeous. They play phenomenally. They sound phenomenal. They're just amazing guitars. I own a Paul Reed Smith. I own the one you just saw a few minutes ago. It's a core guitar, but it's a very good one. It's got a lot of appointments that you would find on a private stock guitar or wood library guitar. Mine happens to have a Floyd Rose on it, which thank God, because I'm really a Floyd Rose player. It has a flame maple neck, but on these private stock guitars, you can the sky's the limit. It's just that they perform amazingly, but they're also a work of art. Mm-hmm. I know, Ty, you've played Paul Reed Smith guitars before. Yep. I need to tell all of you, I was never a fan of Paul Reed Smith. I just never was. I've owned several of them when they first came out in 85, 86. I wasn't a big fan. I was more of a fan of a Floyd Rose player. Kramer. I was a Kramer guy. What the hell did I know? And recently, my friend Pete came over with his brand new Paul Reed Smith Custom 24 with Floyd Rose. His had an ebony fretboard, and his was in charcoal, flame maple charcoal guitar. And I fell in love with the guitar. I played it. He let me play it for. He was here for 3 hours or so, and I played that guitar for a long time. And I put it through put it through a lot of work, and I beat on the tremolo. I right then and there fell in love with that guitar. And I guess most of you know the story on how I traded my Steinberger Trench Trem for one of those guitars and some cash. But that particular guitar, which is the one I showed you, in green with a maple fretboard, and I use that guitar for hours and hours every day. I play other guitars. I play a lot of my other guitars, but I sit on that guitar for quite a few hours a day, and it's one of the best guitars I own. One of my favorite guitars. One of the best guitars I own. And I suggest, if you have the money, to either get one of these guitars or get one of these high-end, a high-end Nags guitar. Well, any Nags guitar is going to be high-end because they're a very small shop. They're all made by hand. I will tell you that Ty and myself both ordered a new Nags guitar. We'll talk about those guitars in a few minutes. But again, these Paul Reed Smith guitars, whether you like Paul himself or you don't like Paul, or you don't think that they have soul, they're great guitars. For a long time, I didn't think these guitars had soul, but this particular one, I guess it's just all in the one you choose, because quite frankly, there's an ass for every seat, or there's a seat for every ass. You know, you just got to find the right one.
Yeah.
But number 10, the private stock custom 24.
And that's a big ticket price, and we can have a debate. You know, does any working guitar player really need a $10,000 guitar? I mean, so you have a $10,000 guitar, and you got to, you know, the house is on fire. What do you grab? You know, I mean, you know, you're going for the guitar, right? These are heirloom. These are heirloom pieces. You could make a. I've been very fortunate to have some Nags guitars too, and I really like. I've already talked about my predisposition to PRS, and I'm a fan of what they do. I'm also a huge fan of Nags, and what Joe and Peter are doing in that company. These are guitars that are they're all inherently unique and individualized to the player. And a player has to make a decision. Cameron Brown said something about, or you could order a custom Sir. Cameron, when I made that statement about the, you know, we could have a debate around the ES335 at $2,600. That is exactly the guitar I was referencing. I have a Sir hum single hum custom model that is absolutely as close to a Swiss Army knife guitar as you're ever going to find. Dave, you've played that guitar.
I set that guitar up. I love that. I even told you if you ever got rid of that, I'd want it.
It is an amazing work of art. John Sir's a genius.
I may have a photo of that guitar here. While you talk,
knows what he's doing. That guitar really plays. And the thing I love about Sir guitars is they really get out of the way and let the player be the player. I've also had that experience with some Nags guitars where they kind of stand down and don't get in the way. But I also had a very similar experience, and go ahead and start flaming away. But I also had a very similar experience in the Gibson Les Paul studio that I played. I never felt for one second that I was fighting that guitar. And we can have an intelligent debate. And that's it.
That's the guitar that I'm sorry that it's not coming through perfectly, but yeah, that's the guitar. It's just amazing, that guitar.
It's a great one. But we can have a debate on the versatility, one versus the other. But again, I play in a live environment. I just need it to work for me. And that becomes the criteria for me to judge any of these types of things. Does it work? Does it have a cool factor? Does it have a vibe? Does it make me want to pick it up? Does it make me want to play? Does it make me want to get off a plateau and take a giant step forward? I want the gear to work for me. I don't ever want to work for the gear. It's got to. I want it to serve me. So, not a very. I know that's a very unsophisticated approach, but it's just who I am.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely want to own instruments that inspire you to play, that inspire you, that want to make you keep playing and do things. By the way, I want to say hello to Liquid Charlie. Thank you so much for joining us, Charlie. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to us.
Yeah, good to see you, Charlie.
Yeah, very cool, especially since it's really late over in England. But yeah, that being said, let's talk a little bit about the Nags guitars that we're both getting, shall we?
Cameron, that it was a Guthrie. Yeah, or it is a Guthrie. Yeah.
Mike Johnson says it's late, but he's here. Thank you, Mike, for joining us. Appreciate it. Hey, Vince, how you doing? I cannot take the. I didn't come up with the Nez Sez name. I have to tell you that was Ty's wife, And thank you to Ty's wife for helping us out and coming up with that name. I'm very proud and humbled to have that name. But all right, that being said, you want to talk about these Nags guitars?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm getting a Nags Kanai J. I've wanted a junior style guitar for a long time, and my buddy Mike Rocker, who lives in town with me, has lent me his 1962 SG Junior, Les Paul SG Junior. For now, it's been 3 or 4 months that I've had it, and I'm sure that I'm not going to be able to keep it. He's going to want it back sooner or later. So from having that guitar, it has spoiled me, and I've wanted a junior style guitar. And yes, I could have gone out and bought a historic collection Les Paul Jr., but I've wanted a Nags guitar since Larry Mitchell brought me his first one over for me to check out. And they are fantastic, unbelievable, very high quality, very high end guitars. And now I'm just waiting to get it. It's a TV yellow. It's highly relict, one P90 guitar. Can't wait to get it. It's been my dream to have one, so it's coming. And tell us about yours.
Well, mine's a very parallel story. I bought my first Nags after watching Larry Mitchell on one of his Facebook live posts, play Nags. I immediately got interested in the brand. I knew that it was. I knew about Joe. I knew about Joe's tenure at PRS. Peter Wolf is also a legend in the business, and the fact that they came together and made this company. I was immediately interested. I played again as a single cut player. I gravitated toward the Kanai initially because at the time they weren't offering the Severin that Larry was playing as a signature model, and so I bought my first Kanai after 2 days after seeing Larry. I found a really terrific dealer in Florida that helped me find exactly the guitar I wanted, and I bought it without playing it, which is very, very unusual for me. And it arrived on the doorstep. I pulled it out of the case, and it was a showstopper. It was a tier 1 Kanai. So as far as Nags goes, that's not it doesn't. Well, wait a minute. Does it go 1 to 3 or 3 to 1, Dave?
3 is the lowest, highest.
Okay.
1 is the highest.
So it was a tier 3. It was a tier 3. It didn't have a top. It had a satin finish on it. That guitar was like I said, it was a showstopper. It felt great, sounded great, played great. It satisfied the Les Paul player in me very, very much, and then some. But most importantly, I really felt eager and inspired to do something different with that guitar, because it is not a Les Paul. It had this very unique this very unique tailpiece on it that increases sustain. The ring on the guitar was absolutely amazing. So I guess last year they launched the Kanai J. I'm a big fan of single cut P90 guitars, and there it was at a price that I could swing. So I ordered. I got one too. So
yeah,
it is what it is, and I think they're super cool. They got tons of vibe, and I can't wait to receive it.
There's something to be said about P90 guitar, one P90 guitar, single P90 guitars. I mean, a lot of people think it's a one-trick pony. It really isn't. If you know how to use that tone knob and you know how to use that volume knob, you can do any gig with that guitar. It's pretty incredible. And what I'm so stoked about mine. Not only is mine TV yellow, but my pickguard's a tortoise pickguard. And I just can't say enough about. I just cannot wait to get that guitar in my hands. It's just one of those things that it's, I remember our friend Steve Anderson, before he got his first EVH 5150 guitar, he was saying 100 sleeps until this guitar. Well, I don't know. I don't know how many sleeps till I get mine, but a lot of sleeps till I get mine. But it'll be here soon enough. Larry says he has a J as well, and he loves it. He says he lives it, but he loves it. Hey, BV, how you doing? Is there anything? Does anyone have any questions about anything or any statements that they want to talk about? Anything we spoke about so far? Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We have 31 people watching us right now. I know I didn't give you people that much time to prepare to come on the show, to watch the show. It was pretty much last minute, but I want to thank everyone for watching this tonight. And this is going to be a show that we're going to have every Thursday night at 8 p.m. We are going to have guests on this show from time to time. We're going to be talking about all facets of gear and guitars, and we're going to be talking about production, all kinds of how do you get a gig? How do you choose a guitar? How do you what types of amps should you be looking for? This is all going to be about you guys that watch us. And and stuff that we've done that we can pass down to everyone else. Maybe stuff that you already know, maybe stuff that you don't know, maybe stuff that I don't know that Ty knows, and I'll be learning the first time for myself. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing reviews on different instruments and different amplifiers and pedals and stuff. Anything that comes in or that I feel or Ty feels that we want to review. And today we're going to review this guitar. This is my personal 5150 Kramer replica. Now this is more modern day, the way Eddie's guitar looks today, because a lot of you may want to know what that little appendage on the bottom of the headstock is. Well, it's a 7th tuner. And why it's a 7th tuner, those of you that may not know, in 1989, Eddie Van Halen broke the headstock of his 5150, and you can see that I've kind of replicated that right here, going this way, or I don't know how to do that. This way, yes. You can see it. And on the back as well, I've replicated that break. So basically, he didn't want to get rid of the neck. He loved the neck so much that he just drilled another hole and put another tuning peg on. And then in 1990 sometime, when he went to Music Man, they repaired the headstock for him. But so this is a modern day, or as modern day as you can get, of his guitar. Now the body is a Chris Lock body, and the neck is a Musicraft neck. The Floyd Rose on it is a FRT5 reissue made by Jim Francis. Some of you may know who Jim Francis is on the Facebook pages. The pickup it's not on the original guitar. The pickup is a PV Wolfgang pickup, but this is a mid '80s Duncan JB, because I just love the sound of a JB. And this guitar just sounds. listen to it, and although I don't sound like Van Halen, the guitar sounds like Van Halen. It just suits Van Halen, and just a great sounding guitar to begin with. And that's coming out of my Yamaha THR 10X right there. It's just a wonderful guitar. It's a very lightweight guitar. This is maybe 6.5 pounds. The body is, I want to say this is basswood. And of course the neck is maple. It's hard rock maple. I have a prototype Floyd nut on there. What else can I say about the guitar? The guitar feels like it feels, if you've played a Music Man Eddie Van Halen, the shape of the neck is very, very reminiscent of that. Kind of small, but very comfortable. If anyone has any questions, anyone wants to know more about this guitar, I'd be happy to share it. But that's pretty much this guitar in a nutshell. It's the quintessential one pickup, one humbucker Floyd Rose guitar in my collection. It is just an amazing sounding and feeling guitar. Take care, Larry. Have a great night. And we'll see you, by the way, just so everyone knows, we're going to have actually on the Johnny Bean show on the 20th, Friday the 20th, we're going to have Peter Wolf from Nags Guitars and Larry Mitchell as 2 guests. So check that out. But I just wanted to say that before Larry leaves, if he hasn't already left.
Cheers, Larry.
Yeah. So that's that on this guitar. Yeah, Rockin' Dave Byron. Yeah, that's coming from the THR 10X, and it's not very loud. I know it sounds loud because the microphone's really near it, but it's not a very loud volume in the house, although Desiree might say it is. That amp sounds really good, and this guitar also sounds really good. What about you? Hey, Michael James, how you doing? John Windsor's here. Hello. Yeah, Ty, I got to get this guitar in your hands because this guitar with the Van Helens that you play with.
I love that guitar. That guitar is a gateway guitar for me. I mean, the first time I saw Ed on stage, he's holding that guitar. On the '84 tour, and it was February 1984, and I was in the same room. Still, and I've seen him. I've seen him dozens of times since then. But you never forget that first time, and that guitar really. I've told you before that I have a some sort of deep affinity with the black and white. Frankie, I guess it's because it's the guitar on the cover of the first one, which was my first introduction. Yeah. To that, and when I heard Eruption, it was just game over. And that guitar is so special to me. I don't have a true replica Van Halen guitar.
Not yet.
But if I were to have one, it would be that one.
And the first time, and I've said this before in other programs, the first time that I laid my eyes on this guitar, it was the premiere of the Panama video. And, we're all, at that point, we were all used to seeing the Frankenstein guitar, and of course that's an amazing guitar in itself. But the first time I laid my eyes on this guitar, I said, wow, that's a cool guitar. Look at that headstock. It looks like a Gibson Explorer on a Strat body. And oh my God, that's a different striping scheme. It kind of looks like a spider web. Yeah. And the striping scheme on this guitar looks like a spider web. Yeah. I'm like, man, that looks so cool. Oh my God. And the shape of the guitar is different than a Strat. It's Strat-like, but it was different than a Strat. And I was like, man, that's such a cool guitar. From that moment on, I had to have a Kramer Beretta or, although the original 5150, and this is not a Beretta, this is a modified Pacer. Mm-hmm. I had to have that guitar no matter what. And I built replicas, my versions of replicas for a long, long time that looked like crap. They were just, really low budget, whatever. I once took a real 1985 Beretta a black one and repainted it, had it repainted like Van Halen's guitar. I could kill myself with that. And it wasn't, and I showed the guy pictures. I took it to a reputable company to have it done professionally, and I sent all kinds of pictures of the guitar to them, and it didn't look anything like the pictures. I'm like, no, you didn't put enough stripes on. No, well, that's what we did, because apparently they didn't even look at the pictures. They just did what they did. And a lot of people that are not true Van Halen fans and are not a fan of these guitars, they just see a striped guitar and they think, oh, it's the 5150 guitar, or it's the Frankenstein, when it's not. Clearly the striping is different and the body's different and whatever. But that's what the guy who painted this was like. Whatever, it's a striped guitar, stripes on it. Who cares? No, that's not it. That's not the guitar, But here it is. Here's my definitive 5150 replica guitar. And there's only maybe 2 or 3 that I know of that are as close to Eddie Van Halen's original one like this one. There might be one that's a little bit closer than this one. But this is probably as close as you're going to get. And I will say this on the show. Anyone that wants one of these, just contact me privately. And that's all I'll say about it. But, yeah, this is that guitar. And I hope you've enjoyed me talking about it. And if there's any other questions, anything you want to know about it, please let us know. And in the future, if there's anything you'd like us to review, please let us know, and we will definitely review it on one of these shows. I'm going to go on a limb and say if neither one of us has whatever you're asking us to review, if you happen to have it and you feel if you feel obliged to, send it to one of us. We'll review it and we'll send it right back to you. I have no problem doing that. I'm sure Ty has no problem doing that, although I am speaking for him at the moment, so I'm sorry about that. But Ty he might just keep it. I don't know. But I have no problem. Getting what you send me, reviewing it on the show, and then sending it right back to you. So that's not a problem. We do have a lot of things to review. We both have a pretty good collection of guitars and amps and pedals. So we'll be reviewing stuff, once a week whenever we're on, and we'll be talking about a bunch of different things. So it will be a fun show, and we both appreciate everyone joining us and indulging us and being a part of this.
Sincerely, yes.
Yeah. Hey, Metal Mike, how are you? Let's say hello to some more people.
BV Ninja, I agree with you. One pickup guitars are really great. There's something really special about them. I've heard it explained that the absence of that neck pickup, the absence of that magnet in the neck, that's having an effect on the strings. It has an effect in the overall tone, and I would have to defer to Dave and his opinion about that theory. All I know is I agree with you. There's something really special about a single hum guitar that is just unmatched.
I agree.
In a lot of ways.
I agree. I think, and I'll reiterate the fact that there's not a second pickup with the magnets pulling on the strings. It allows the strings to resonate and vibrate a little differently and more true, I think. I mean, it rings forever. It just sounds amazing. That's with no distortion box either. That's just straight to the amp. It sounds good, and it's not. Although it may sound high gain in this video, it's not very high gain. Hang on 1 second. It's not very high gain, but it just, one pickup, it just allows these strings to vibrate like crazy.
I love that one pickup Les Paul Custom Joe Perry plays.
Me too. One pickup and with a trem.
Yep.
Love that guitar.
Me too.
It's amazing. I'd love to get one.
Me too.
Very cool. So that brings me to I would like to talk about my website for just a second. Those of you who want guitars built, I build guitars. I first and foremost play guitars, but I do build Strats and Tellys and replica style guitars. I also do setups and minor repairs. So again, anyone interested in having their guitar set up the way I like my guitar set up, or the way you like your guitar set up but done professionally, I have a website that's www.theguitarwhisperer.guru. Now it's WHISPERER.guru. Theguitarwhisperer.guru. You can contact me on that and tell me what you want done. I'll then give you a call. You put your number on there. I'll call you back, and we'll discuss what you want done. And you just send me your guitar if you want it repaired or set up, or tell me what you want built, and I'll tell you the criteria. How we what it would cost, how I want the payments, and blah blah blah, and how you'll get your guitar and how long it'll take. So I'll be happy to do that. Anyone interested in that, I'll be happy to do that. So that's www.theguitarwhisperer.guru. Anything else, Ty? Anything else you want to discuss?
No, I'm good. This has been great. This has been fun. I'm glad that we had a piece of content like that article by Chris Corfield that published in Guitar World a couple of days ago to really kind of go through that, discuss those choices. I thought there were some really interesting choices that were presented, but I think that they were very thoughtful choices. And again, from my vantage point, any opinion about gear and gear preference is all subjective. And an individualized opinion, and I would just encourage all players of all levels. Don't let the gear drive you. You drive the gear and use it for what it's intended for. Use it to be creative and use it to express a voice, regardless of where you are on your guitar journey. We're all there together. And we should all be looking for this individualized voice that is unique to each of us.
Yeah, I agree. Mike Neese says that the VH replicas, where the hell did it go? Damn it. The VH replicas are great, but the Klein Beretta is the one. Thank you, guys. And I just wanted to show the Klein. Let me get this on me for just 1 second. So here's that Klein Beretta that I have, and it's a 1986 Kramer Beretta that I had when I was 16 years old, and just recently got it back. Was able to acquire it, and I am glad to have this back in my possession. This is a guitar that my mom bought me when I was 16, and it means the world to me. Thanks, Mom. And there you go. There's that guitar. We'll discuss this guitar another time in its entirety.
Yeah, that's a beauty, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it sounds ridiculous. It's another one of those one pickup JB guitars with a Floyd. Just, it's killer. Action's super low on it. The frets still have pretty much all its life on it.
Is that JB original to the guitar?
Yes, it is. Yep. Yes, everything on this guitar is original to it, except for these Allen keys on the back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's all original. Other than that, John Mancuda says, "I agree. Dave's setups are absolutely top notch," and he does know that because I've set up quite a few of his guitars while he was here in New York. And thank you, John. I appreciate that. let me see this. Let's talk. Rock and Dave Byron says, that's great to know. That's great to know, Dave Nesdall. Now I know where to go when I really have to have a telly built. I'll definitely contact you, my friend. Thank you. And thank you, Rock and Dave. I appreciate that. I think we're good for the night. I think that's really everything that we wanted to talk about tonight, unless anyone has any last things they want to say for the night. Dry Heat says, John Mancuda, what do you think of the band Black Swan? Love the Tuesday show. I love it too. It's a good show, and we'll wait for John Mancuda to answer that real quick before we leave.
I'll tell you, I listened to that record over the weekend, and the guitar playing on that record is just absolutely insanely good.
I have to listen to it. I have to listen to it. What style of music is it? I guess it's just rock, 80s rock.
Yeah, I mean, it's commercial rock. Mm-hmm. I think it's creative, and I liked it. I felt like it was fresh.
Mm-hmm.
My thing about Black Swan and other project bands like them, I appreciate the recording so much. I would like to see more of those bands live, and I think a lot of people would. And I know that's difficult because you've got artists that are working, and their main source of income is in other bands. And sometimes it's hard for these project bands to really build an audience. But I thought that Black Swan record was fantastic.
Very cool. All right. Well, again, thank you everyone for showing up tonight. Thanks for watching the premiere show. We'll be doing this every Thursday night at 8:00. I want to thank my co-host Ty Price for doing this with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to have a good time, and it's going to be a lot of great shows ahead of us. And I'm happy to be doing this with you.
Look forward to it, Dave. Thank you very much,
everyone,
and thank you to everyone that tuned in tonight.
Oh yeah, all right. So I'll see everyone tomorrow night on the Johnny Bean Show. Please don't miss that at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And we'll see you all back here next Thursday night at 8:00. So long, everyone.
Bye.